What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. That Geeky guy here. So today I'll be trying out something different. So in this video, basically what we're going to do is a tier list for a competitive viability of the 12 heroes we have here. So we have all the heroes from Welcome to Wrath, from the Arcane Rising, and finally from the Monarch set. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna basically rank them. So let's start off with Kaino. So once again, don't worry guys, this is just my opinion. I'm just gonna give my thoughts along the way. So Kaino in Blitz, of course, it's a beast. He's a beast, but in Classic Constructor, we don't usually see Kaino being played because he does require a bunch of opting and setting up before he can deal the huge arcane damage. And along the way, he could deal a bunch of damage, but he still start off with 30 life, and against aggressive deck, he could be having a hard time setting that up. In Blitz, he could easily set up a OTK turn, but in Classic Constructor, that is a bit tough to pull off. But in the right hands, it could happen. Shout out for Juan actually making it work. I'm just gonna put him in the C tier for now. So next we have Dash. Dash always has been a super consistent deck. You can play Dash with a bunch of boosts to give a go again and deal a bunch of 4 and 5 damage, or you can just use the gun, her Techlo gun, in order to shoot 2 damage each turn, up to 3 even if you have the proper purifier down in the field. Of course, you could play Control Dash by having a bunch of defense reaction and things like that. So she is a very competitive deck and she belongs in the A tier. Next we have Ranger, unfortunately a underappreciated hero. I still think she has a bunch of potential, but there are few ways that you can play against Ranger. It's basically by decking her out, decking her arrows out. A few scary attacks from her are cards such as Red in the Ledger, Remorseless, or even Hamstring Shot. So those are some key cards for Azalea. But once again, she does require a bunch of opting and setting up in order to shoot even one attack. So for that, I still believe that she is in the C tier for now, unless she gets some good new toys from Tales from Area. So the upcoming set, I do believe they have teased something on Ranger with the main image itself. So Ranger could be getting a new toy which could bump her ranked up, but for now she belongs in the C tier. Next we have Visceral, which I believe people are still figuring out, but there are a few ways to play Visceral. We can either go for OTK, which it is a bit harder to pull off in Classic Constructed, but it can be done, though it is less consistent comparing to other decks such as Dash, Katsu, or even Dorindia. He belongs solid. I think in the A tier. Sorry, he is in the B tier. There's a few ways you can play him. Once again, of course, the OTK that I mentioned previously, even the mid range you could play, even the recently popular Archonics version of this deck, which you guys can check it out from the Death Station video. Jason actually played a version of this deck which uses Archonics in order to knock his opponent from a huge life lead. So you guys can actually check that video out on the Flesh and Blood TCG YouTube channel. So he belongs in the B tier, which is what I think, even though he is one of my favorite heroes. Next we have Prism. Prism is another solid hero, but she does have difficulty playing against Reiner and basically classes that have attack action that blocks more than 6. I'm sorry, with base damage of 6 due to the unfortunate Phantasm. But she is still, I think, a class hero, A tier hero, whatever. She still can pump out a bunch of damage by playing Aggro Prism. So I think Aggro Prism is still the way to go for now. Arclight Sentinel can even block out key turns from your opponent, so that's pretty cool. So she belongs in a solid A tier. Next we have Bolton. Bolton is pretty strong if you are playing the Centauri Saber version, but for the Raiden version, I haven't seen a good deck for it yet. People are still trying out. For the Centauri version, on the other hand, with double Lumina, that's really scary. And especially if you're playing an aggro deck where you have a bunch of attack action in your hand and you are blocking with an attack action, Bolton even gains +1 from that. So multiplying it with the Centauri Saber's buff, so that's pretty scary. But for now, I'm just gonna put him in the B tier. Next, we have Chain. Chain, I personally think, is an S tier hero. His aggression is second to none. I still think aggro Chain is the way to go, where you banish a bunch of cards and basically get a bunch of cards in your banish zone and then just play it out. He could be weak if the game drags on, because there's only so much banished card that he can play, but he is definitely an S tier hero with the combination of Arcane and also the usual damage, the melee damage. So with the access to Carrion Husk, even blocking out key cards such as Command and Conquer for 6, he's a solid hero to have. Next, we have Levia. Levia is an okay hero, I would say. She doesn't have the access to the she doesn't have the benefit of Blood Depth as much as Chain does, and she does suffer from have limited action points. The only way she could do that is by relying on either the brute shadow brute boots, which only can be used once, or the scab skin, but that just requires a roll, which reduces the consistency of the hero. So she is a solid B hero for now. Next, we have Dorindia. She has access to some new cards for the Monarch. Since the release of Monarch, she has access to cards such as Dustpath Pilgrimage, but with the heavy use of unmovables in the recent control decks or even mid-range decks, she does face some difficulty in order to deal damage to their opponent. To her opponent basically, so she could not get the downblade counter on her sword, so that could be an issue. She does require the hero to take a bunch of damage before able to swing a bunch of damage back to the opponent. So she's, even with all the issues, she is a solid A tier hero due to the Dawnblade counter and the Dorindia's ability, which allows the weapon to go again. So that's pretty good actually. So she does belong in the solid A tier. Next, we have Reiner. Reiner, I think, is a better hero compared to Levia, so that's my personal opinion. I still think he is a damn good hero, but for now, I'm just gonna put him in a B tier because I still think Prism Dash and Dorindia fares better against Reiner. Next, we have the Bravo, which is the Guardian, which I think is a solid A hero. So there are a few recently winning lists which showcases the strength of Bravo with the effects such as Crippling Crush and things like that. So that's pretty strong. So Bravo is a damn good tall deck to play, and the effects are scary. Even the natural ability of Dominate is pretty good. Even if you don't play it that way, you can still block out your opponent and just swing your Anatos for either 4 or 6. So that's pretty good. Katsu, on the other hand, is a S tier hero because of the ability to either going aggro or even control. Control Ninja, I think, has advantage against heroes such as Chain. So these are some of the ways you can play Katsu. Either you can go aggro, mid-range, or you can even go control with the flexibility of being able to pitch blue and Kodachi twice, even putting your opponent in a Kodachi lock, which so they called it, which is pretty strong actually. So Katsu belongs in the S tier. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I'm going to leave the link of the tier list down in the description below so you guys can check it out, and do check out my other videos which I talked about different guides on cards and things like that. And do consider subscribing, liking, and comment down below what you guys think. And see you guys in the next one. Bye.